My name is Shankara Subramanian, and I'm very pleased to start off this series of dialogues and discussions on Yoga, Vedanta and Tantra. Very happy you could come here and make it. The first one in the series is on Advaita VedAnta, which means non-dualism, philosophy of non-dualism. And there's a follow-on discussion that I planned at this point on yoga itself. Its real meaning and true purpose. That will be on the 18th of June. And if you would like to put your name on that sign-up sheet, I can send you more details. I believe it's scheduled in the auditorium downstairs. So I've planned these dialogues in segments so that we'll have time for interaction. So indulge me in this 1 hour and respond to my questions, and that way we can have more of an interactive experience. I'll start off with some suggestions of how you might get the most out of this talk, and then plunge into some specific aspects of Advaita. Okay. So the first thing I'd say is keep an open mind. I'm going to tell you some things that may be contrary and contradict popular opinion, popular media belief, and even some preconceived notion or concept that you have in your mind. But having said that, I have full faith that each of you has the wisdom inside you to discriminate and know what is the truth and what is an appearance. Second thing I want to say is, the purpose of my discussions is not to convert anyone to my viewpoint, or any viewpoint for that matter. Conversion in any form or name is a form of violence. And the first Mahavrata, the great vow that you take in yoga, is ahimsa, non-violence. Himsa means injury or violence, and this can be physical, mental, it can even have spiritual violence. Is a negating prefix which says non-violence. So I present this opinion to you as something for you to consider. If you can find something beneficial from it, great. If not, you've lost nothing. You've just learned another viewpoint. So that's the first preamble. Having said that, I'd also say that be very comfortable in your traditions. Be they Judeo-Christian, Muslim, Buddhist. It's very good to be comfortable in your traditions. The Yoga and Vedanta derive from a source text called the Veda. In the Rig Veda, it says, Ekam Sat Vipra Bahudha Vadanti. There is one truth. The wise speak of it in many ways. This was realized 5,000 years ago. And so the same truth has been discovered by many people, men and women, different parts of the world, at different times. This is an important thing to keep in mind. So Advaita Vedanta goes on to say something more empowering. It says that this truth that the wise speak of is within you. That is a tremendously empowering statement. If you think of the human apparatus, you have a body, you have a mind, you have breath in between, you have something beyond the mind. This apparatus has not changed since the day of Adi Shankaracharya, Jesus Christ, Jalaluddin Rumi. They all had the same apparatus. So you can also do it. But there is a catch. What is the catch? Is you have to practice. Merely listening is not enough. One has to undergo a system of practice. And what Yoga, Vedanta and Tantra do is they give you that system. That is why sometimes it's called yoga science. Because just like in science, if you do X things, the outcome will be Y. There is no getting around it. It will happen. So that is why it is useful for me, and I'm trying to share that experience. Hopefully it will benefit you as well. Now, although we talk about these different traditions, and I've explained to you that Advaita gives you this nice approach, and it gives you an empowering I can attitude, I will use some words as I go through. Already I narrated a short verse in Sanskrit to you. And I use the Sanskrit for a very specific reason. It's not to be an obstacle or impediment to those who don't know Sanskrit, but rather it's because Sanskrit has evolved a very precise terminology to characterize the interior states of the human being. On the inner journey, you will encounter certain states. Every human being is the same. Every human being will encounter those states. Those states have been characterized very precisely in the Sanskrit language. When we translate that into English, we undergo an approximation. There are so many terms for these interior states, even for the mind in Sanskrit, and there is only one word mind typically that we use in English. So what happens is things get lost in translation, first thing. The second, even more tricky thing, is that you already have a notion in your head of what I mean by mind. So if you're a psychologist, you have one version of what mind means. If you're a child, you have another version of what mind means. Mind the teacher, maybe. Or take a word like mouse. It can be something that clicks on the thing. It can be a field mouse. Right? So words are very tricky. And the trick in Yoga Vedanta is to go beyond the word, beyond the name and the form. What underlies? What is that truth, underlying notion? So that is why I think it's useful if you can get handy with knowing the originals so that you can form your independent conception, transcend your preconceived notion, transcend even the translation. How? Through inner experience. No other way. So that is my preamble, unsolicited advice, but I think it might be useful. So to start off, I'd like to begin, so when we go through this, I'd like you to pay attention to some words like knowledge, mind and consciousness. These are very dangerous words. Real and unreal, yoga itself, okay? And hopefully it will be an exciting journey for you. Now, one last thing that I'll say is, at the end of the lecture, I hope you don't go away with the idea that, oh my God, I have to know so much. There's just so much information. He's talked about this and that and in a difficult language. That is not the message. The truth is absurdly simple, but not easy. A child can come tomorrow and show me truth that I cannot convey to you in one lecture. I know that. So, although I may use all these things, don't go away with that idea. You can, where you are, find all these things. I'm just giving you what I know. This is how I was brought up. This is what I was trained in. So I'm sharing it. Okay. Hopefully it will open some windows. But it's not meant to be complicated. Don't be dismayed that, there's a lot of words and there's a lot of terminology. It's not the intent. Okay. Now, in the next segment, I just want to convey my motivation and purpose. Why am I doing these discussions with people? Why am I doing it in a public forum? And why do I want to do it for free? So, the first thing I'll start off with is, how many of you are enthusiastic about yoga? Wow, 100%, okay? That's beat my expectations. And how many of you have been to a yoga class? 3 of you, okay? Very good. Now, when you went to the yoga class, did your teacher start off by giving you an explanation of the purpose of yoga and how it stands in relation to Vedanta, Tantra? No. Yes? Okay. Then, so we have one no and Evelyn. Okay.
Well, my guru is part of
Mhm.
and that's cool.
So you're very fortunate. That's great. Excellent. And
Sometimes. A lot of instructors, sometimes they do.
that's right. And so we sort of have a mixed situation. And I think that's why I started out by, I noted that there's a lot of people who are very sincere and very enthusiastic about yoga. There's no doubt about it. I'm amazed by how sincere sincerely people are practicing yoga in the US. But on the flip side, I sometimes see that there is a lot of need for direction or purpose. The larger context is not explained. And I think people can benefit by knowing that larger context. That's my motivation. So I would like you to know that yoga is not merely a set of postures and asanas. It's a spiritual philosophy that will lead you to the ultimate self. And it's a part of, it works with other methods. It doesn't work alone. It works like the fingers in a hand. So that is the gist of what I'm going to lead up to. So I also encourage you that to ask yoga teachers the true purpose. So when you get on a plane, you always check where your destination is, don't you? You get on the thing and the flight attendant comes, anybody here for Des Moines? And then there's always that one person who will run out at the last minute who has made the mistake of getting on the wrong plane. Yoga is not even a plane, it's a space shuttle to go into the inner realm. It is extremely powerful. So, you should ask the pilot of that space shuttle, where are you taking me? It is said famously, ask and it shall be given unto you. Seek and you shall find. That is the intent. If you do not ask, you will not be told. You will not know. So ask sincerely. Don't ask aggressively, but ask from that core of your heart. I want to know. Where will I go? Because the space shuttle of yoga also has many buttons that are very advanced. If you press the wrong one, you could end up on an inhospitable planet. So, the person who is piloting it should have gone to all those planets. The person who is piloting yoga should know, your teacher should know all the stages of yoga. Knowing one little piece can be dangerous. Sometimes they say little knowledge is a dangerous thing. Particularly true in the case of yoga. So please keep these things in mind. Like any technology, nuclear science and technology, parallel or something, any energy has both a positive and a negative aspect. You can always use a thing for good, or you can use it for harm. But you need to know, the more powerful the energy, the more careful you should be aware that you're adequately prepared to handle it. You see? So that is the purpose of knowing the purpose of what we're going to do.